Week 16 recap, also known as the Fantasy Football Semifinals. So this was across my 6 subscriber leagues. I made the fantasy playoffs in 4 of them, and I will let you know how I did in terms of advancing in those 6 leagues. So first up, we are going to talk about one of my ESPN leagues. This is a 10-person PPR league called the 1 through 10 league. In this league, I finished with a final record of 8-6 in the regular season, 4th overall, and I was taking on Team Drew Bream, who was 10-4, the number 1 overall seed. And I'm sad to report that I lost. I lost handily in this matchup. Final margin of 91.54 to 139.72. So it wasn't close at all. And let's take a look at what happened. Really unlucky timing for me. I rode with Jalen Hurts in a lot of my leagues, 3 of my 6 leagues. And this week he did get injured in the first quarter against the Washington Commanders. So despite a few good rushing performances, I think he had 4 carries for 34 yards, 40 yards, something like that. He exited the game and was out for good after scoring just 4.54 points. So I got Jalen Hurts with 4.54. Then Derrick Henry, he had a great game against the Steelers, put up 20.9, his best game in a bit. Rico Dowdle of the Cowboys, a bit of a down game compared to the late ones. He puts up 8.1 on a 12.1 projection. Devontae Adams staying hot as he has in the last month, on 19.8 on an 18.1 projection. Then on Thursday night, I had Cortland Sutton, who scored 10 of his 13.6. Not horrible. Then this was a mistake. I needed a tight end plug and play this week. I went with RenTen Strange after all those, targets and passes he got last week. Absolute dud. He had 2.2 on a 9.8 projection. And then Brees Hall, he had 14 out of 14.7. Exactly what he was expected to do. The Broncos defense was cooked. Projected 6.8 points. They scored 2. And yeah, that was a little bit costly. And then Jake Bates got 10 out of 9 projected. So he overperformed. So on my 123.6 projection, I score 91.54, quite a bit under. And if we take a look at my bench, there's really nothing I could have done. Jalen Waddle out in this game. Kyle Pitts, absolutely even worse than Brenton Strange. Jordan Love, 11.48, so that's 7 points there. Tucker Kraft, yeah, I could have played him, and that would have been another 7 points. Then Dink Bigsby, he overperformed, but he's not playable. He's not doing anyone better than I would have played, really. And then Cade Otton was out, Patrick Taylor Jr. was out, and George Pickens was out. All in all, I could have scored 14 more points. I would have lost 105 to 139. I just gotta, bow down to a better roster, a better team. Drew Bream with Bo Nix with 21 points, Joe Mixon with 8, Brian Robinson Jr. with 2, so actually no running back production, but Tyreek Hill has 11.9, T. Higgins with 19.8, David Njoku with 14.6, Ryan Thomas Jr. really the one carrying here with 28.2, Bills defense with 13, and Jason Sanders with 21. So yeah, behind the legs of Jason Sanders and the performance by Brian Thomas Jr. Not to mention he did also have Ramondre Stevenson on his bench with 12, and Jackson Smith and Jigbo with 24 on his bench. So no matter how you slice this one up, I would have lost. And yeah, Drew Bream, congratulations to you. I hope you have a great time in the finals. All the best of luck. A strong 1 seed, and I will take it on the chin and move on into the third place matchup next week. I'll try my best to finish 3rd at least. Now, after that, we move into our second subscriber league, and this one is called the Subscriber League. It is I don't know how many teams actually. Let me check on that real quick. 12. It is a 12-team ESPN PPR league. In this one, I finished 10-4 in the regular season, the 1st overall seed, and this week I was going up against Team Neat, who finished 8-6, 5th overall. And this one was nice. I ended up winning this one. Final margin 1 171.42 to 137.64. Big win for me. I think one of my best weeks across the board, all the leagues, and it couldn't have come at a better time. In this league, I had Jaden Daniels, who had 34.42 points on a 19.3 projection, James Cook, who had 27.6 points on a 17-point projection, Rico Dowdle, who had 8 of 12, Jamar Chase, who had 22 on a 21-point projection, Terry McLaurin with 17 on a 15.8 projection, Stone Smart, who had 6.7 on a 6.2 projection. Picked him up. He did his job. He did exactly what he needed to. And then I got Brian Thomas Jr. in the flex with 28 on a 15.9 projection. Colts defense that was projected 6 got 6. And then finally Jason Sanders with 21 points on an 8.1 projection. On my bench, we also will see that I picked up Tyjae Spears, and he had 21.6. I wouldn't have really played him unless someone else was injured, but that was cool. I also did have Eagles defense, but I wasn't going to play them against Washington. And then my opponent, Team Neat, shout out Team Neat. Team Neat was killing it on the waiver wires up until last week. Also snagged Patrick Taylor Jr., Amir Abdullah, Brenton Strange. Honestly kind of saved me from 4 points with Brenton Strange. I was going to take him. But Team Neat had Sam Darnold with 22.94, Jahmyr Gibbs with 25.4, Tyrone Tracy Jr. with 16.9, Garrett Wilson with 11.4, Adam Thielen with 15.3, Travis Kelce with 8, Jalen McMillan with 16.7, Packers defense with 15 points, and Kaimi Fairbairn with 6. So all in all, this was a great performance on 120.3 projection, scored 137.64. Pretty much all their players outperformed except for Garrett Wilson and Fairbairn, and I guess Kelce. And then on the bench they had Bo Nix, who scored less, but Amir Abdullah and I guess just Amir Abdullah. Not much they could have done. This was a great performance, a very formidable opponent, and I just happened to pop off this week, and I'm very grateful for it. So, thank you, the fantasy up there's helped allow this to happen for me. Anywho, so I'll be heading into the first place game for that team, for that league. Looking forward to that. It should be a lot of fun. Next, we go into a 8-team ESPN PPR league called the Ring Watch League. This one, I'm not really playing for anything. It is a loser bracket between me and the 8th seed. I finished 7th, he finished 8th. We're both at 5 and 9. This is A-Rod's Achilles versus I for the second week in a row. And here, I also did really well, and not that it mattered, but I won 155.92 to 112.58. I had Jaden Daniels, James Cook, Bucky Irving, who had 18.2 on 14.3 projection, Cooper Kupp, who had another bad game, 5.4 on 14.9 projection, Drake London, who was slightly underproducing, 10.9 on 14.3, then Brock Bowers, who had a big game, 20.9 points on his 15.5 projection, CeeDee Lamb with 17.5 on a 16.7 projection, Broncos defense only scored 2, and Jake Elliott with 19 points on 8.2 projection. And on my bench, I also could have turned to not really anyone that was better than who I started, I don't think. Yeah, I had Cardinals defense, but they scored negative points. And Devontae Smith, Brian Robinson Jr., Kyler Murray, Kenneth Walker, all solid options, but who would I have really? I guess I could have moved CD in, sat Cooper Kupp, and then played Kenneth Walker, but there's no reality in which that's happening. Anywho, my opponent, A-Rod's Achilles, he had Russell Wilson, who scored 15 on a 14.9 projection, Kareem Hunt, who also scored 15.9 on a 7.3 projection, then Travis Etienne Jr. with 5.7 on a 13-point projection, Jamar Chase, who scored 22 out of 21, JSN, who had 24 points on 14.6 projection. Wow, that is a low line for him. Kyle Pitts, who had 1.7 points. Xavier Worthy with 20 points on an 11.1 projection. Eagles defense with 7 on 6.2, and then Young Wei-Gu didn't score any points. All in all, they outproduced. They were only expected to get 96.9. They ended up getting 112.58. They could have gotten a lot more points though because they had Jonathan Taylor on their bench. That would have been pretty huge for them if you play Jonathan Taylor instead of Travis Etienne Jr. Oh, I guess it's quite close. What is that? 34 more points. You get to 146, then it's a 9-point game. So, oh yeah, and then if they played Isaiah Likely, I could have lost this one. I actually very easily could have lost this one. And Patrick Mahomes, yeah, with a couple swaps, I don't win this game. So, got lucky here with lineups. Hopefully, Rod's Achilles is still. I mean, it doesn't really matter. We're the two losers in an 8-person league. We're just trading punches for no reason. Anywho, with that, let's jump into the last ESPN league. This is a 10-person PPR ESPN league, in which I finished second overall with a regular season record of 10-4. I was challenging the third place finisher, who also had a 10-4 record, second breakfast. And yeah, yet another league where I got wiped. This is one where I lost 119.24 to 159.54, a thorough beating. And I did expect it in this league out of all of them, if I'm being honest, because this team is absolutely stacked. I was looking at it in awe before the week even started. On my side, we had Jalen Hurts. We already know the story with him. James Cook, Aaron Jones, who had 12.3 out of 15.3. Amon-Ra St. Brown with a 19-point performance on 17.9 projection. Cortland Sutton, George Kittle, who had 18.6 on a 14.1 projection. Bucky Irving, Broncos defense, and then Chris Boswell. And then looking at my bench, if I had for some reason played Geno Smith over Jalen Hurts, I would have had 17 more points there. And I could have played DK over Cortland Sutton, and that would have netted me 4 more. So that's 21 points. And then, yeah, I didn't have a better defense to play, really. So, if I had gotten 21 more points, that's still 140 to 159 loss. So, a little bit closer, but still doesn't really compare at all. Second breakfast with an awesome roster. They had Jared Goff starting, 25 over an 18-point projection. Devon Achane with 31 points on a 19-point projection. James Conner with 26.6 on a 20-point projection, and that was with an injury. Jamar Chase with 22 on 21. Puka Nacua with 13.6 on a 20-point projection. So actually had one person underperform. 2 people underperform, with Pat Freiermuth only getting 4.6 out of 9.9 projection. Jackson Smith and Jigba with 24. Vikings defense with 5 points, and Chase McLaughlin with 7 points on an 8-point projection. And on their bench, they could have also plugged in Alexander Madison. No, they wouldn't have done that. Everyone that they played was a good play. I guess they could have played Jake Ferguson for another 5.5 points. Yeah, so got whooped. Could have gotten whooped by 5 more points, but lost handily. And yeah, this is a great roster. I know that James Conner goes down, but nonetheless, this is very, very impressive, and all the best in that first place game. I will look forward to the third place game. Try my best to take that third spot. Hopefully Jalen Hurts can play. If not, Geno Smith, relying on Geno Smith in the fantasy finals. Oh my lord. Anywho, with that, we can move into our sleeper leagues. I had 2 sleeper leagues. The first of these is a 14-team Superflex PPR league, in which I finished 9th overall, so I'm in the loser bracket. It doesn't even really count for anything, but I'm still playing. I'm still trying to win, be the best of the worst. And unfortunately, I can't even do that. I had a matchup against the Carolina Panthers, and I lost by 2 points. I lost 107.7 to 109.9. Truly a tough one. In this league, I had Jalen Hurts, Rico Dowdle, Devon Achane, Jalen McMillan, who I did pick up late and then put in. Not that late, like still decently before. But yeah, I'll explain why. DeAndre Hopkins with 7.7. I don't remember what he was projected. It doesn't show me. Then Brenton Strange, Brian Robinson Jr. So those are three really bad plays. Geno Smith actually had a good game, 23.36 points. Tyler Bass, who had 8 points, and then Denver defense, who had 4. I don't know what exactly it is about Sleeper, but the defenses are scored slightly different. And then on my bench, Jeremy McNichols had 7.8, Devon Valley had 10.10, DK Metcalf had 14.7, and Deebo Samuel at 25.10. Really bad week for Deebo to turn up, in my opinion. I won't lie, I'm mad at Deebo. And then Deontay Johnson and Jake Ferguson, who had 10 points. So yeah, I did misplay. Could have definitely taken someone out. Like, if I had played Jake Ferguson instead of RenTen Strange, I would have won this game. If I had taken out D-Hop for one of my actual more star-studded wide receivers, who I chose intentionally to sit both of them, I would have won this. So it's truly on me. Just bad decision making. And yeah, it's just because DK and Deebo have been so bad recently, so underperforming. I picked up Jalen McMillan and played. I mean, over DK, that was still a smart move. That was still more points netted. I took DK out, but who knew Deebo was going to pop off? I couldn't have told you. And yeah, so I lose this one. Carolina Panthers, they had Bryce Young with 27 points. DeAndre Swift, who had 8. Christian McCaffrey, they're not even checking their lineup, man. 0 points. Malik Neighbors, who had 13.8. Puka, who had 13.6. Sam Laporta with 14.3. Brock Bowers with 20.9. Michael Pittman with 3.9. Younghoe Koo, who is on IR. And Chiefs defense with 8 points. So yeah, truly embarrassing loss. I'm playing a team that hasn't checked their lineup in weeks, and I still lose by 2. So that's on me. But nothing was at stake here. If this was a week where I actually had to go to the playoffs, I would be so mad. But in the end, I'm just a bigger loser than I was before, and I'm okay with that. I've already lost, may as well lose more, you know. And finally, we get to our last league. This is a 12-team PPR sleeper league, and this one is, I think, my greatest fantasy game ever. In all my years of playing fantasy, I don't think I've ever been more excited, proud, and overjoyed by a victory. I did win in this one, but I will have to tell you the story of how it happened. So, this is a league in which I was projected to lose big time. I am number 1 in this league with a record of 10-4. I was taking on the number 5 team, and my Younghoe Koo, who finished 9-5, and their team was loaded. And prior to this week, I had studs on my team, but I was completely injury-ridden. I made a trade in this league for Chris Olave, and I played him one game and I never saw him again, so he was on my IR. I had Isaac Guerrero in this league. He is out this week. I had Alvin Kamara in this league. He gets ruled out after a groin injury last week. I have George Pickens, who hasn't played in 3 weeks. So, heading into this week, my entire bench is just Jaden Daniels, then injury. And I was like, oh my goodness, I need to pick up some players. I also had Evan Ingram in this league. Yeah, it's horrible. Absolutely ravaged by injuries heading into this very important matchup. So I go out and I make a bunch of roster transactions. I swap out Saints defense for the Packers defense. I go out and I get Patrick Taylor Jr. and I drop Evan Ingram. I get Tyjae Spears, dropping Brandon Cooks. I just cut Chris Olave, so I can put I guess I couldn't put anyone in IR. I was going to, but I couldn't. I cut Isaac Guerrero in favor of Kendra Miller, and so now I have some options that I can run with. And then my starting lineup, I decide to put in David Njoku, who was hurt the week before, but luckily he was playing this week. Patrick Taylor Jr. and Tyjae Spears, Green Bay defense. 115 points because I have all these like ragtag people in. Patrick Taylor Jr., who hasn't even started a game this year. I've got Tyjae Spears, who's coming off of one good game, but Tony Pollard is maybe playing in this game, maybe not. I kind of just had to send it, and yeah, it ends up going like I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. But my young Waiku is doing amazing. Like, absolutely killing it in production. After the morning slate, I'm down big. I'm not even doing that poorly, but I'm down big. I think in the morning slate, I had Brees Hall play, who had 14. I had Ladd McConkey on Thursday night, who had 14.7. I had Marvin Harrison Jr., who only put up 7.9. And then David Njoku had 14.6, so he was solid. And Tyjae Spears, in the beginning it was a little bit worrisome, but he eventually got 21.6. And I had Jake Elliott, who had 19. But my opponent had Chad Ryland, who had 15 points of his own. He had Baltimore defense, who had 16 points. This is the early games, so who else did he have? He had Jahmyr Gibbs, who had 25.4, James Conner, who had 26.6, and I was like, okay guys, it might be cooked, and I was really sad, because it meant like I was going to get eliminated in every single league except for one. I was like, man, that kind of sucks. Well, what kind of fantasy football player am I? Then we hit the afternoon slate, and Josh Allen, who I'm playing against, has a dud game. He has 12.16 points, and now all of a sudden, there's a chance. But I am shooting myself in the foot because I left Jaden Daniels on my bench. Jaden Daniels with 36.42 points, the number one fantasy quarterback in this week. I have him, and I didn't start him because I started Baker Mayfield, and I was so upset at myself, and it was intentional too. Jaden Daniels playing the Philadelphia Eagles. He hasn't been playing all that great as of late. Philly defense is so good, and Baker Mayfield has been kind of balling. Playing a Cowboys defense that's a lot easier than the Eagles defense. But after the morning slate, I was like, oh my goodness, if I lose because I didn't play Jaden Daniels, I'm going to never forgive myself. And we get into the afternoon slate, and things are like slightly better for me. I got James Cook, who scored 27.6. Patrick Taylor had 3.5. That was not a good performance from him. And then he had Jacoby Myers with 6.1, George Kittle with 18.6, and Debo with 25.1. So I was kind of mad. I was like, shoot, dude, I don't know if I can do this. I might have sold. And then we head into Sunday night, and I need just as many points as possible. I need Rico Dowdle to not do that well because he has Rico Dowdle, and it ends up working out not too badly. I have Baker Mayfield. Baker turns up in the second half. He rushes for a bit. He does throw a pick, but he finishes ultimately with 23.3 points. And Rico Dowdle only has 8. But it's still really dire. I am expected to lose by a decent amount because all I have left is Packers defense, and he has Jaden Reed. And I need Packers defense to outscore Jaden Reed by 7 points. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess that's it. Good game. And Monday, I don't even watch the game. I don't even bother. I'm just like, who cares about the Saints versus Packers? I watched a lot of football this week. And my stepmom and I, we actually went to the Denver Nuggets versus Phoenix Suns game. That was something that we were able to do. And it was really cool. Pretty high up seats, but the view was still great. Nice game. Competitive in the first half. Second half, it was kind of a wipe by the Nuggets over the Suns. And so, as we're leaving on the escalator down, we pop our head over and look at the TV screen that's showing the post-game broadcast, and it shows Ryan Clark with the score 34-0 under it. It's like, oh my goodness, 0 points scored. Maybe there's a chance. If Jane Reed has a monster game, then who knows? I check my fantasy team. Green Bay Packers scored 19 points. Their defense, Jane Reed scored 11.1. So somehow, some way, I end up winning this matchup, 165.22 to 164.16. excited to go to not one but two first place matches, and I need to lock in. I know lock in. I have the chance to win 2 of these 6 leagues. We gotta see. But yeah, as always, thank you all for tuning in. This was a great one. Probably my favorite installment of this that I've done so far, just because the stakes were at their highest and we had such cool outcomes. You know, one league where I lost by just 2 points, one league where I won by just 1 point, and the most important part of the season. And shout out to all the teams that I played against: Drew Bream, Young Breakfast, Young Waiku, Carolina Panthers, Team Neat, Erod's Achilles. Shout out all you guys. You guys did amazing, and I'm looking forward to whoever I see next week. So thank you for watching, and I will see you